Episode number 46, Dara Palms. In keeping with the tradition of once a season, interviewing somebody from the Brundage Park Playhouse alumnus. What are we waiting for? Let's get this show on the road!
These are the performers that I know. These are the performers that I know. These are the performers that I know. These are the performers that I know.
Hip hip hooray! We're here for another great episode of The Performers I Know. This is episode number 46. All right. This week, continuing the tradition of having a Brundage Park Playhouse alumnus as a guest once a season, this lady is a very talented actress, singer, and she's here as my guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to Miss Dara Palms. Dara, welcome to the show.
Woo! Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. For those of you who don't know, each season of this podcast, I have interviewed somebody from the Brundage Park Playhouse alumnus. Season one was Zoe Rock, the award-winning Zoe Rock.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a Broadway World Award winner now. Season two was Jared Zach. Season three was Anna Gelbke, and now here's Dara. So once upon a time in 2023, or was it 2024? Sometimes the years escape me. I did a show called Beauty and the Beast at Brundage Park Playhouse, where I played good old Cogsworth, and Dara was a silly girl, and she was indeed a very silly girl. Did a wonderful, magnificent job. But Dara, my first question to you, as I ask all of my guests, what got you bitten by the performance bug? What made you want to go into doing theater and acting and all that wonderful, great stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved it as a kid. My brother and I both were into theater and just generally being silly, and we would do skits at home with just each other as the audience and always had a good time. And I did theater as a kid when I was in middle school. And then when I got to high school, I did a couple plays my freshman year, but I played softball and the schedules were just basically impossible to match up. And so I ended up, kind of leaving theater behind. And then it was 2023. I took my oldest daughter, Eliana, to see a show at the local high school. And, I was just kind of sitting in the audience and watching the actors, and they were all fabulous. And I was like, I missed this. Maybe I should try again. And she actually was the one who kind of encouraged me to start going on auditions. And I joined some New Jersey theater audition Facebook groups, and I saw the advertisement for Beauty and the Beast. And previous to that, I had only auditioned for plays. I hadn't auditioned for any musicals. And so I was kind of going back and forth on it. I found out about the audition the day before it happened. And so I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go for this. I don't know what role I would go for. Like, I've kind of aged out of Belle, but there's other roles that could be really fun. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to sing in front of people. And Eliana was like, Mom, you should go to that audition. You'd be great. And it was really cute. So thankfully she did, because that's how I got back into the theater. And here we are today.
I'm just imagining Eliana like some kind of like dramatic Lifetime movie. Mother, you must follow your heart. Listen,
Literally.
listen to your heart when it's
I think
calling for you. Although I think she's a little too young for that song.
I think the exact phrase was something to the effect of, Mom, you should go and you rock that audition. It was really cute.
Well, you got the part of the silly girl, so you definitely, as the youngsters like to say, you rocked that audition.
I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't when we did the callbacks, I don't know if were you there for was everybody in the same group for the callbacks?
No, I was there with just a few other folks I got called back for the wardrobe. And so it was me,
Okay.
two other ladies, and then we read with three of the ladies who were called back for Mrs. Potts.
Oh, okay. So then you missed me flinging myself all over the friggin' place, trying to get LeFou, trying so very hard. Beast Matt threw me around because he came in, he was trying out for Gaston,
Yeah.
and I couldn't walk straight for about a week. But well, that's okay. I needed to be the stiff behavior for Cogsworth. It pays off,
It
so
works, right?
it does work. Yeah.
Do you want to
So
know a fun fact?
sure,
I also auditioned for LeFou.
really.
I was like, if they're open to a gender bender, I would love to be LeFou. Partially because it's just a really fun role, but also because, I'm an alto and I definitely have a lower voice for a woman. And so Belle was kind of immediately out of the question. And I was like, dang, I feel like LeFou would be fun. So yeah.
We could have tag teamed to knock Nick Short off down the stairs.
Except he was literally
Oh,
perfect for the
oh,
role.
Nick, watch those steps. Nah, I wouldn't do that. Nick Short's good people.
He is.
I I had really this was the farthest I've ever driven for an audition. It was about an hour and 10 minutes away. And I remember people saying like, why? Because I like Beauty and the Beast. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But it was a fun group of people. What was your experience working with such wonderful, wacky people?
Honestly, it was such a warm welcome back into the world of theater because it had been so long, right? Like all I had really remembered about theater was stage right versus stage left and upstage and downstage. Those are the only things I remembered. And so all of the little things that you pick up along the way, I feel like the group was very helpful and, kind of patient with me as I got my whereabouts. Um, and it was fun, it was just like it was hard managing a full-time job and being a mom and going to rehearsals, but I just felt like I was kind of in my safe space, when I went to the rehearsals and got to just really dive into all of the different characters that I played because I was also in the ensemble, so that was fun too. And it was a fun challenge, having to crawl around and be a wolf in one scene and then be a graceful napkin in the other and then be a gushing silly girl in the next. So it was cool.
Well, one of my favorite parts was during Be Our Guest when I, as Cogsworth, was trying to shush everybody, and I'm
Yep.
going down the line like, shh, shut up, and you just did this like, shoot, go away, Cogsworth.
Yep. Don't mind us. Nothing to see here.
Nothing at all, nothing at all. But I did not know that Beauty and the Beast was your kind of quote unquote comeback role. So that's actually kind of cool to find out. And what a comeback it was, ladies and gentlemen.
It was nice to be a part of the ensemble and get a bunch of experience in a bunch of different things. Like I had to do quick changes backstage. I had to help other people with their changes. I had to shift gears, going from one character to the other. So I think it was kind of the perfect way back into theater.
Yes. And Dara parlayed that into doing so much more as of late. But last year was another fantastic role. I think one of the best roles in this particular show. She played Ursula in a production of The Little Mermaid.
Yes,
Oh,
darling.
yes. But see, what was very interesting is that literally it seemed like two places were doing Little Mermaid at the same time.
Yep.
I just, like to me, that's kind of like, oh, this is like a Starbucks right next to a Starbucks.
Literally. And I
And
auditioned for both.
yes, I just, I was like, I'm too old to play Prince Eric. I'm not nearly buff enough to play King Triton. Can't really do Sebastian. Really, the only part would be maybe Grimsby
Yeah.
or Chef Louis. But at
Oh,
the
I
end,
want to see you as Chef Louis.
Just yeah, because I just want to be a psychotic Frenchman. And I said, but yes. So what was it like playing the devious sea witch?
Oh my gosh, what a dream role that was. It was so much fun. Honestly, when I got it, so I mentioned that I auditioned for both and I got called back for both, but the timing of the auditions was such that I got the offer for the first one before the callbacks for the second one. And I
Oh,
play Ursula, and is like, while I got called back for Ursula, there was no guarantee, and I had already had this offer in hand, and I had never worked with this company, Pixie Dust, before, and so I didn't really know what to expect. I also had never been a part of a double casted show. And so that was new for me. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna take the risk and hope that they're good people, which I'm so glad that I did because it was a phenomenal experience. And it was fun, they let me play with the character. I think the cool thing about being in a double casted show is that you get to see how your double interprets the character and how she played it. And my friend Bryce Kiley, who's super talented, she was the other Ursula, and so we kind of learned from each other, but also had the freedom to interpret the character the way that made sense to us, and to play the character in a way that felt right. And it was great. I had so many talented castmates. It was just, the level of talent was wild, and the production value for community theater is, I think, the best I've seen. So I felt really grateful to be a part of it.
I saw kind of bits and pieces of pictures on Facebook, and it looked they used puppets for some of
Yeah.
the characters.
Yeah, yeah. All of our sea creatures were puppets. The production I just did had a lot of puppets as well. We had a cow and a horse and all of these really cool, kind of crazy animals. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, the guy who played my King Triton in Little Mermaid, he made all of the puppets, even
Oh
our
God,
like
damn.
jetsam and all of that. So it was really cool to see that process.
Well, yes. That I guess this is a little spoiler alert because right after she did Little Mermaid, well, actually, was there anything in between Little Mermaid and what happened just recently?
Um, No, well, so let's see, I did Beauty and the Beast, then I did Drowsy Chaperone, and then I did Little Mermaid, and then,
Okay.
yeah, thing in between.
Okay. So then, oh yes, you know what? That reminds me. You did Drowsy Chaperone. Who did you play in that?
I played Trix, the Aviatrix.
See, I'm smiling and nodding because I really don't know the show other than Bob Saget was in the cast at one point on Broadway.
He was.
So what was it like playing Trixie, the Flying Dutchman?
The Flying Dutchman. Man, it was fun. That was another show where I was a part of the ensemble as well, because Trix, she comes in at the beginning and then you kind of don't hear from her until the very end, and she has this big solo and she's got a plane on stage, and it's a really cool moment. But there's a lot of downtime in between. So I was also a reporter, I was a maid, and so had a lot of choreography that I had to learn too, which again, because I had started off with Beauty and the Beast, I was used to that. So it was a good transition. And Trix was particularly cool because the character is based off of Bessie Coleman, who was like the first African American pilot. Um, and that in and of itself just sort of felt like an honor to be able to pay homage to that. Um, and to like kind of come in and save the day at the end of the play. It's not a huge role, but it's a very impactful one, and the song is really fun, so it's cool.
There you go. There you go. See, that's one of those shows that I hear a lot about it, but I've never actually like stopped to listen to it. So maybe I'll have to put that into circulation to listen to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was Beauty and the Beast, then Drowsy Chaperone, then Little Mermaid Oni, then then. Well, as we record this, ladies and gentlemen, it is the 6th of March, and Dara wrapped up a performance of Into the Woods where she played the witch.
I did, and I'm so
So
tired.
you played a sea witch and then you played a land witch.
Yep. Very, very different characters. One would think that it would be easy to shift between the two, but very, very different characters.
Oh yes. Well, it's a little more of a kind of a serious musical. really.
Mhm.
Not so much like a fun, silly movie kind of thing.
Into the Woods is interesting because it's definitely very dark. Spoiler alert, a lot of people die. But it is
Uh,
a comedy too, right? And so there are some scenes where simultaneously something completely ridiculous and silly and over the top is happening while, somebody is mourning someone's death. And so that was an interesting dynamic to try to kind of balance.
yeah, so you went from one huge villain role to another huge villain role. I gotta ask you, do you prefer playing villains or do you like playing heroes or do you like a mix of both?
When they casted me as the witch, because it's the same company that I did Little Mermaid with, I was like, I feel like y'all are starting to typecast me. What does this say about my personality? Honestly, though, many would argue, and I'm including myself in this, that the witch in Into the Woods is actually not the villain. She is actually the only character that has it together and is actually trying to make good decisions for the rest of the group. But
I
that's a whole
mean,
other podcast.
not for nothing, but the baker's wife cheats on the baker. Just saying, she kind of makes out with the prince, if I remember correctly.
She sure does. So yeah, I don't think the witch is the villain. However, she definitely is a very, strong female character that is sarcastic and mean and but funny and actually has a level head. So as far as what I prefer, I mean, it depends on the show, it depends on the role. Um, this just happened to be a good match for me, and it was sort of fortunate and unfortunate that I had just played Ursula because like I was used to kind of playing the witchy, I don't care about any of you people type of character. But one of the director's first notes to me after, one of our rehearsals was, I'm getting a lot of Ursula. And I was like, oh
I
no.
literally just did that role, though.
I'm like,
Come
oh
on, man.
no, I know. But I'm so glad he gave me that note because it was more of like the physicality of what I was doing because Ursula, she's got these big tentacles and she takes up a lot of space and she's very, big gestures, right? And for the witch in Into the Woods, in the beginning, she's basically like trapped in this, older, fragile, like ugly body. She's not necessarily an old woman, but she is a little bit trapped. And so I couldn't have my limbs spread out as much as I did for Ursula. I had to kind of like balance being witchy and uncomfortable with not coming across like I was 97 years old. So it was just a different
Uh,
kind of thing that I
it's
had.
funny you talk about typecasting because for a very long time, I seemed to get a lot of either heroes, leading man kind of things, or comedic sidekicks.
Yeah.
I was never, ever cast as a villain. And the story that I always like to tell is that I tried out for a production of Oliver, and the director came up to me and she's like, all right, Dane, listen, you're too young to play Artful Dodger. You're, well, rather too old to play Artful Dodger. You're too young to play Fagin. What, so what would you like to do?
Right.
So I said, well, I'd like to try out for Bill Sykes. No, Dane, come on.
Yeah.
No one's gonna take you seriously as Bill Sykes. You're Dane. Come on,
Oh no.
like I isn't that the point of act? She, this woman, literally said, "You're too nice to play Bill Sykes."
Oh,
Like that doesn't that doesn't make any sense.
it's almost like the whole point is to not be yourself on stage.
I to this day I think back to that conversation and I'm just like, I'm too nice. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
did you think I was gonna go on in like a Mr. Rogers sweater? Like, oh, okay, Oliver, we're gonna talk about our feelings now. While I go break Nancy's neck, can you say
It
good
is
Lord?
interesting though. I kind of think about that for my next show, which I'm taking a break right now, but I've played two villain-esque characters back to back. And so there's a little bit of imposter syndrome there where it's like if there is a leading lady role that is like the sweet, kind, like, soft-spoken woman, can I do that? Should I do that? There's that in the back of my mind too. That's like, well, is this just my brand now? I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out.
I just, I wound up finally playing somebody, Mr. Road and Wait Until Dark, and apparently that was the best acting I've ever done, according to many people. So it's like, see,
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I ever get the chance to try out for Oliver, I'm just gonna be like, Bill Sykes, come on, Bill Sykes.
I love it. I love it. You got to go for
Uh,
what you.
yes, indeed. So right now you said you are kind of taking a break from acting.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just wrapped, less than a week ago, so I'm kind of just taking my time. I'm actually having my oldest start auditioning for stuff because there's some local kids productions that I think she'd be great for, and she's really excited about it. So I'm focusing more on her right now until.
You guys should have the reverse of, honey, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna nail that audition.
Oh, literally, that like literally, because she gets in her head about it because she's a perfectionist, but she's only 7 years old, but she's got a great voice and she lights up when she's on stage. She just gets nervous thinking about going on stage, but once she's there, she's great. So I'll definitely be her cheerleader.
Oh, yes. Well, folks, as we look at the old clock on the wall, I'm seeing that we're starting to run a tad bit out of time. Unfortunately, as much as I would like to keep asking such wonderful questions, we are the non-existent clock on the wall says that we're almost out of time. But my last question to you, Dara, as I ask all of my guests on the show, if somebody were to come up to you and say, "Hey, Dara, I want to be a performer, an actor, a singer, a flaming chainsaw juggler," what would you what would you tell them? What would be the piece of advice that you would give them in order to best succeed in that endeavor?
Yeah. I mean, I think one, just go for it. Don't think too much about it. Start going to auditions if that's something that you want to do. And I would also say invest in yourself. There's nothing wrong with taking an acting class here and there, taking a voice lesson here and there. I did that. I didn't invest in an ongoing vocal coach, but I was like, hey, I have this audition song that I really want help with. Let me do one session, right? Also use YouTube. YouTube is free and there's such a plethora of resources for you to hone your skills. So yeah, I would say just go for it and don't be afraid to invest in yourself and believe in yourself because why not you, you know?
There's, there you go. The only person that you can believe in is yourself. I mean, you
Yeah.
can believe in other people as well, but yourself is most important.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as our outro plays us out, I want to thank our very special guest, Dara Palms. Dara, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem, and we'll see you all on the next episode. So long, everyone.
These are the performers that I know.